Alright, y'all. We here. Let's talk about some shit. Okay, so have you ever, like, I don't know if any of you have ever experienced toxic or abusive partners. Sorry, let me add a trigger warning real quick. We talk about domestic violence and abuse and shitty situations, so, I have unfortunately experienced that, and, it fucking sucked. She was so jealous of people that, like, I had no interest in. But let's start at the beginning. So I met this woman originally when I was 21 years old. She was 45. Yes, I realize to some people that that sounds like a significant age difference, and I mean, I don't disagree. It is a significant age difference. But I was a legal adult, old enough to make my own decisions, and I decided to, this is empty, fuck my life, and, I decided to go into this bar that she owned, and, ended up really liking her, but I didn't know at the time that she was the owner of said bar. Hold on, I gotta fix my contact lens. So, I had no idea that she was the owner. And, but I saw her, and I really liked her. I thought she was really pretty, she was funny, she was 30, and she was just, in my world, she was just perfect. Anyway, so, she was so, like, sketchy about, like, even me having an interest in her, because, like, she'd been through some shit, and I get that, like, she'd been through some shit. Like, her ex-partner had, like, enlisted all of these women to, like, flirt with her and get her to take them home, and then they would just, like, leave in the middle of the night and shit, and so I get it. She went through some shit, and I'm not saying she didn't. The ex also had gotten her hooked up, like, cocaine and shit, and so, like, when I say she's been through some shit, I mean she's been through some shit. Did not give her the right, I think, at all to treat me the way that she did, and to do the things that she did. But anyway, for the first few, like, months, the relationship was like a fucking dream, man. She was happy, she was friendly, she was flirty, her love language was, like, acts of service, and, like, gifts and stuff, which was different for me, because the only relationships I'd had up to that point was with men, and, like, not the best men. So it was definitely different for me, and I really enjoyed it. And like I said, you know, for the first, like, 2 years, she was perfectly fine and perfectly normal. And then we broke up a lot, because at that time I was not ready to admit that I was gay, especially to my family, because my family was uber religious, and I didn't want to disappoint my family. So I ultimately ended things the first time. Years after my first and only marriage to a man ended, I started dating women. I came out. I fully came out of the closet. Had a girlfriend that, I knew her in high school, but it came about for me that I'm not really into, like, mask lesbians. I don't, like, you don't have to, like, wear, like, makeup and shit, and, like, do your hair and be, like, super femme, but, like, I want a woman that looks like a woman, because, in my opinion, that's just how it's supposed to be. Like, if you want to be with a woman, you want to be with a woman, but not knocking anybody else's preferences, I'm just saying in my own case. But, ultimately this relationship did not work out because it just wasn't what I wanted. And then I ended up getting back together with her, and she was just not the same person. She was back on drugs and wasn't really there for her kid who now had children. But I stuck it out and I tried to work it out and I tried to like do ultimately what I thought was best and try to help her through whatever it was that she was going through. But that was not working. But still, I stuck it out because I was like, you know what, I'm part of the reason why this is even happening. So like, I blamed myself. I blamed myself for her misery. And there was no reason for me to do that. Like, I wasn't responsible. She was miserable because she was doing things that she shouldn't have been doing. Like I said, like the drugs. And that obviously was not my fault because she wasn't on them the whole time we were together. It wasn't until after we broke up. But I think that because it happened after we broke up the first time, that I like blamed myself because I left her or whatever when she thought she had security. And so in some ways I did blame myself for that. And then over the years, okay, she got worse and worse and she started getting really restrictive, wanting to know what I was doing all the time, every second of the day. It didn't matter what it was a problem. And hold on, sorry. Anyway, so that was kind of just a situation where I blamed myself for shit that I had no control over and I didn't do anything about. Forgetting to send the little one to school. Okay, anyway. I'm gonna pause this. Anyway, so I was kind of like blaming myself for all that, and like I said, it was not my fault. I just oh shit balls. It wasn't my fault, but I had convinced myself that it was. And like I said, as things went on, it kind of got like worse. Just did, it got worse. And that's the bad part, I guess. I just, like, I don't even know how to explain it because I blamed myself for so much shit, and, hold on. I just thought of like something that I might be able to like, do here. Anyway, okay, sorry. Like I said, as things went on, it progressively got worse and just, like, fucking traumatizing. And I ended up meeting Kyla. We've all talked about Kyla, so, if you don't know, you can find the story on my Instagram under my trauma, or on my TikTok under my trauma playlist. But anyway, so I ended up meeting Kyla, and I knew right off the bat that if I was attracted to this woman, I was no longer in love with my partner. And you know what? That does happen, and it's okay. It's okay to not want to be in an abusive situation anymore. And I think so many people forget to understand that. Like, people want to be like, oh, well, you weren't loyal to your partner. I was loyal to my partner, by the way, but they'll be like, oh, you weren't loyal to your partner. My partner wasn't loyal to me. She was cheating on me all the time. She was abusive. She was violent. She was degrading. She was always high. Like, these aren't good things, okay? These aren't good things. And eventually I broke up with my partner and ended up getting involved with Kyla. And you know, that wasn't a good situation either. Y'all know it did not work out in my favor. She ended up sleeping with me and then, like, abandoning me, and basically never apologizing for the way that I was treated. Basically just never apologizing for the way that she treated me. And to this day, she has not said one word to me about her behavior. I do hope she finally got, you know, some sobriety help, and that she did get sober, and, you know, whatnot. But I made my decision. I made a mistake, and now we're back with my abusive ex again. I think I just, like, I was so hard on myself that, like, I think, I hate this fucking, sorry, I'm struggling over here with this eyeliner today, that I just felt like I didn't really deserve any better because I blamed myself for what happened with Kyla, and I kind of just made myself feel like I wasn't worthy of love, even though I was. I kind of, like, had myself convinced that I deserved the shit that was happening to me. That clearly I had to have done something to deserve this. Like, it wasn't like, you know, I don't know how to explain it. It's so fucking hard to explain. Because there's not really any way to explain it. But, like, you just ever feel like everything you do, or everything that happens to you, is better wording, is your fault because you fucked up some way? Yeah, bro, that's my life story. And I have this happen all the time. You think I'd have learned something by now, but I don't, because I'm stubborn and I'm convinced that if I just keep trying, I'm gonna get it right someday. So come 2021, okay, I'm super depresso espresso, like super fucking depressed. In like March of that year, my ex accused me of sleeping with my Zumba instructor, Rebecca. I had not done this, and I want to make this very clear. It wasn't done. I didn't do it. But she was convinced that I was, like, in love with her. And, of course, you know, that's a problem. Duh. But, 1 second. I gotta get dressed and I'll be right back. Anyway, safe to say, she didn't really know what was going on. And that's okay. That's okay. And I get people who ask me now, like, why didn't I just call up my friend, my Zumba instructor, and be like, hey, can you tell her that we're not sleeping together? Well, first of all, I wasn't going to do that to someone who really didn't need to be brought into the situation. She did not need to have her reputation tarnished because my ex was a fucking nut job. Okay, just straight up. Like, she didn't need that. That's not fair to her or even really me, if you think about it, because my word should have been enough. Just straight up should have been enough. And it wasn't. And that kind of shit can be so hurtful and upsetting when you realize that even though you're telling the truth, it's not good enough. And I think people forget to realize that we're human too, and I should not have to bring another person into my business for my partner to believe me, if that makes sense. And at this point, it honestly probably wouldn't have mattered whether I had somebody to back me up or not, because she was straight up just solidly convinced that I was cheating, despite my numerous denials. And I'm not really sure that anything any of us could have said would have changed her mind about that. She was very controlling. She always had to be right, even if she was wrong. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what anybody said. It would never have mattered what anybody had to say. It's just the way she was. And it really sucked, because I felt like, you know, it could have worked out, and we could have had a happy relationship had she not been such a control freak. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm actually really glad it didn't work out, because I ended up finding in April of 2021, I ended up finding someone that was really good for me, and has been, sorry, the powder always makes me cough, and has been a fucking godsend, and is really there and invested in me and our relationship, and also allows me to have friends and go out and do things, and doesn't, you know, expect to be up my ass 24/7 trying to figure out what I'm doing when I'm sitting on a fucking toilet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm in a much healthier, better place than I was then, and I plan to keep it that way, because you know what, I earned that shit. I did my due diligence. And like I said, I wouldn't want to get someone else involved in something they had nothing to do with. And it is very important to understand that. But for those that have asked, that is why. I never asked her to back me up. God. And like I said, I just feel like if you're really trust your partner, you shouldn't need someone else's word. Their word should be enough. You should believe what they're saying without a doubt, okay? And the truth was, I had no romantic interest in Rebecca at all. But what started this is the reason why, to this day, I still hate Rachel. And that is because had she not posted that shit on Facebook about thinking that I was in love with Rebecca and blah, 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 we probably would not have had the fight that we did over it. So yeah, I do blame her for that. And if she ever sees this, fuck you, bitch. Just straight up fuck you. Because you made things so fucking difficult for me. And then, like I said, in April of 2021, I met Amy, and I was so happy. It was like the best relationship I've ever had. It still is the best relationship I've ever had. And I'm lucky in that sense, because not everybody gets to go from a bad relationship to a good relationship, and I got lucky. And I wish everybody that gets out of bad relationships could be as lucky as I was. Because it just sucks. It sucks to be with someone who just questions everything. Everything. Despite the fact that they have never known you to be a liar. You're not a cheater. You've always been good and faithful and honest. And in reality, I kind of realize now that after finding out that she cheated on me basically in our entire relationship, that some of that was probably projection from knowing what she was doing to me. That was probably, some of it was probably projection. And, fuck that bitch. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not a mean person. I'm really not. I couldn't care less about what you do. But, yeah, I think some of it was projection. I'm like want to cry because it makes me so sad to think that that's how this went. Where the, oh. Anyway, we're nearing the end of my makeup look, and I just thought I would elaborate a little more, because I talk about toxic exes on TikTok and everything all the time, but in this case, this gives me a little more time and space to kind of explain it a bit more, which is why ultimately I started this YouTube channel. Anyway, with that being said, if you've stayed this long, please wait until the very end of this video and see if you recognize any of the missing people, or might unknowingly know something about the unsolved homicides listed at the end of this segment. As always, please don't do anything I wouldn't do. Make good choices, be cautiously kind to others, and enjoy your day. Bye!